Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to take those useless short pockets and extend them. And you can do this pocket upgrade on any pair of shorts or pants. It's also super easy to do, so if you're new to sewing or projects like this, I'm going to walk you through step by step so you should have no problem. With all that being said, let's get started. Getting started with supplies, you can use any style of pants or shorts for this project. This is because most pants and shorts have a similar style build when it comes to the pocket, with minor differences. And when you take a look at the pocket itself, you'll see that it's separate from the pants, giving us the ability to cut the bottom and extend it. The second item you'll need is fabric, and you don't just want to use any fabric, you're going to want to find a fabric that's fairly close to the pocket that you're trying to extend. Typically, it's a very lightweight cotton or polyester. This makes it less bulky on the inside of the pants so you don't notice the pocket. It doesn't have to be right on, but just fairly close and lightweight. The second option is using a print fabric. This is also very lightweight, but it's a fun way to customize the pants to extend the pocket past the shorts so you can kind of see that fabric come out the bottom of the shorts. Or if your pants has holes, then you'll see that fabric through the holes and it just gives it a different custom look. And I just wanted to throw that idea out there because it's fun to play around with and I don't see it enough in pants or shorts on the market. And again, you don't have to use these exact fabrics, test different fabrics and find something that's going to work for your project. Before we get started, I want to quickly show you the difference between two different styles of pockets. On the top, I have a pair of jeans, and on the bottom I have a pair of athletic pants. As you can see, they are different looking. The athletic pants connects all the way to the center, whereas the jeans just cuts off and connects to the side. So if you have a pair of pants that looks like this and you're worried that this upgrade is not going to work, it's actually done the same exact way. And you can also use a cotton-based material like the jeans for the extension of the athletic pants. You don't need to find the specific mesh material. But anyways, moving on to the project, I'll be working on a standard pair of jeans, and the first thing we want to do is snip the edge as close as we can to the seam, but you don't want to get too close because you don't want to disrupt the top stitch on the outside of the pants. So what I like to do is leave a little bit of space right towards the edge just to make sure I don't accidentally snip the stitches. The second thing you want to do is watch out for the pocket opening stitch on the right side of the pants. So cut all the way up the side until you reach about a 1/4 inch away from the pocket opening stitch. And it doesn't have to exactly be a 1/4 inch. You pretty much just want enough space so you don't actually snip into the pocket opening. With the side snipped, we can move into the next step, and that's going to be trimming off the bottom edge. As you can see, mine is stitched on the outside. Sometimes they're stitched by tucking the pocket inwards. In the end, it's all really the same thing, and what we're going to do is just cut that entire bottom edge off right at the seam. If your pocket is super small and you need that extra fabric, you can take the time to dethread it, but since this one's okay and we're extending it, I'm not worried about losing a little bit of fabric. So at this point, we have an open edge and an open bottom, and what we want to do next is seal off the side edge, and there's a few different ways you can do this. I'm actually going to be using a zigzag stitch and going right directly on the edge. Typically, I would use a serger, but the spot is too small to fit, so I'm going to be using a zigzag stitch so it cleans up the edge and prevents fraying and ripping over time. Don't worry, we will reconnect this in later steps back to the side seam so it's not going to be flapping around and open. You can also hand stitch this entire project if you don't have a sewing machine. Now that we have the side stitched up, we can grab the fabric. The size you cut it to is going to be based on the size of your pocket, and this will vary depending on what style of pants you're using. You mainly want to make sure that you cut it long enough because you can always trim it up in later steps. As you can see, I folded mine in half. This is because the original pocket was folded on that same side. If your pocket does not have this fold, you can still fold the bottom portion of the extension to save yourself from adding an extra stitch. You also want to give yourself seam allowance on the extension so that way after you sew it, it's going to line up with the circumference of the pocket. Once you have all your measurements ready to go, we're going to place the right side together and stitch the side edge. I'm using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so I'm stitching at a 1/4 inch. And you can change this based on the seam allowance you like to use. After stitching, I like to quickly line it up and double check that the circumference of my pocket matches my extension. If it doesn't line up, you can always go back and re-stitch. But if everything is looking good, we're going to flip the right sides out for the extension, locate the side seam on the extension and also the pocket. This will be the stitch we added in the previous step. Place the extension inside the pocket with the right sides together, lining up both of those side seams. Feel free to place a few pins to keep the layers from shifting around, and from here we're going to stitch all the way around that outside edge at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, or if you use a different seam allowance, then use that seam allowance. Again, I used a serger for this step, but feel free to use any form of sewing. At this point, we can pull the extension out of the bottom side of the pocket. There's only a few more steps left in the project, and one is sealing off that bottom edge. Before you do that, the best thing to do is try them on and see how long the pocket is. If it's way too long, then you can always snip it up to the size you would like. This is why I made that extension longer, so I can always go back and make adjustments after I sew it on. After you made those adjustments, the next thing we're going to do is seal off that bottom edge. I'm going to be using a serger, but if you don't have a serger, you can use a regular straight stitch or a zigzag stitch. At this point, you can totally be done, but I'm going to take it one step further. I don't want that pocket flapping around on the inside. As you can see, it's not connected to the edge. So for example, if you have something heavy like your phone in there and it's not connected to the edge, it's going to shift around and it's going to be very annoying on the inside of your pants. But there's a very easy way of fixing this, and all we're going to do is take the side of the extension and the top of the pocket and reattach it back to the side seam. But you want to be very careful in this step because you only want to sew on the seam allowance, so sew as close as you can to that outside edge. So take your time with this stitch and make sure everything is aligned. And most pants or shorts should have enough seam allowance that you can reattach the pocket to. As you can see, the pocket is sealed to the edge and it's not going to be flapping around. And you'll want to do both pockets at the same time to save time, but I wanted to leave one original so you can see the before and after. Here's a quick test with the phone in the original pocket. It barely goes in halfway, but after adding the extension, you can put the phone all the way in and there's a ton of space for more items. And the fun thing about this is that you can extend these pockets as large as you want, so if you don't even use your phone in your front pocket, you can just make them bigger for other items that you use on a daily basis. Like I said in the beginning, this technique works on all pants, shorts, and athletic pants. Just follow the same exact steps. We're going to snip the side, cut the bottom off, add the extension, reattach it, and sew it back to the side. And if you come across a pocket configuration that doesn't make sense, feel free to send it my way and I can help you out. And there you have it, your new upgraded extended pockets are complete. Like I said in the video, you can do this to any pair of pants. All pockets are pretty much designed the same way. You just got to cut that bottom off, attach more fabric, and you have yourself a functional pocket. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me at properfitclothing.com. And until then, I'm going to keep the videos coming at you, so I'll see you next time.